At the base of Mount Fuji, there is a forest so beautiful it is called Jukai, the Sea of Trees in Japanese. It grew on the hardened lava of an ancient eruption, a sprawling world of its own, covering over 30 square kilometers. From above, it looks like a vast, undulating ocean of green, but the world knows it by another, more chilling name, a place of no return. They say the trees themselves are filled with a malevolent energy, that they pull the desperate and the lost from the safety of the paths. They say the spirits, such as the Yūrei, whisper in the unnatural quiet, their sorrow so thick it clings to the moss on the branches. But the haunted truth of this place, Aokigahara, it's a story of how history, folklore, and immense human tragedy created one of the most misunderstood places on Earth. To understand this forest, we have to look past the headlines and into its heart, a place of breathtaking life and profound death. For centuries, long before it was known for what it is today, Aokigahara Forest was a place of spiritual significance, tied to the darker side of Japanese folklore. Its reputation as a haunted place isn't a recent invention, it is woven into the very fabric of the forest itself. The first thing you feel when you step into Aokigahara is the quiet. It's a deep, unnerving silence. The ground is not soft earth, but porous volcanic rock, the result of Mount Fuji's massive eruption in 864 CE. This lava floor absorbs sound and swallowing echoes, creating a sense of solitude that can feel both peaceful and deeply unsettling. The trees grow in a dense canopy, their roots unable to dig into the hard rock. Instead, they spread across the forest floor like gnarled, twisted limbs, crawling over moss and stone. This geology creates an otherworldly landscape, a labyrinth where the sun barely pierces the gloom and every direction looks the same. It was in this environment that the legends of the Yūrei were born. In Japanese folklore, Yūrei are not simply ghosts. They are the tormented souls of those who died suddenly, violently, or without the proper funeral rites. They are spirits trapped on the physical plane by powerful emotions like sorrow or vengeance. The belief is that when death is traumatic, as it is when a life is self-deleted, the spirit can transform into a Yūrei, lingering in the place of its demise. Aokigahara, with its long association with death, is believed to be teeming with these restless souls. Local folklore speaks of these Yūrei as being actively malevolent. Stories are told of them mimicking the voices of loved ones or crying out in pain, trying to lure people deeper into the woods, away from the marked trails. Some spiritualists believe the trees themselves have absorbed the negative energy of countless tragedies, becoming conduits for this spiritual distress. Visitors report feeling an inexplicable pull, a strange compulsion to wander off the path, as if the forest itself wants to claim them. There is a persistent legend that this is a place where compasses fail, where the normal rules of the world don't apply. And while there is some truth to it, the rich iron in the volcanic rock can interfere with a compass if placed directly on the ground. A compass held at a normal height works just fine. But here's the problem. That explanation doesn't settle the matter. It only adds to the idea that this is a place that plays by its own rules, blurring the line between scientific fact and supernatural dread. The forest's connection with death did not begin in the 20th century. Its soil has been associated with grim practices for generations, embedding a sense of sorrow into its identity long before the world knew its name. The most prominent of these was the practice of Ubasute. The word translates to abandoning an old woman, a supposed custom from feudal times, where an elderly or sick family member was carried to a remote place, like Aokigahara, and left to meet their end, especially during a famine. It was a brutal choice, born from desperate times when one less mouth to feed could mean survival for the others. While historians debate how common Ubasute really was, its stories are deeply rooted in Japanese folklore, and Aokigahara is one of the primary locations tied to these tales. The legend stained the forest's cultural memory. Even if it was more folklore than reality, it cemented the forest as a repository for the abandoned. The idea that Aokigahara holds the spirits of elders left to die by their own families adds a profound layer of tragedy to its haunted reputation. The Yūrei here are not just any ghosts, they could be the spirits of one's own ancestors. Beyond Ubasute, Japan has a complex cultural history with the act of ending one's own life. For centuries, certain forms of self-inflicted death were not seen as a sin, but as an honorable, albeit extreme act. The most famous example is seppuku, the ritual practiced by samurai to end his life and avoid dishonor. While seppuku was outlawed in the 19th century, its legacy subtly influenced the culture and could, at times, be seen as a way of taking responsibility for failure. It helps explain why, when other pressures mounted, the idea of a place to die could take root in the cultural imagination. The Aokigahara of folklore collided with the pressures of the modern world in the 20th century. This is when its reputation shifted from a passively haunted wood to an active destination for those wishing to end their lives. This transformation was fueled by a potent combination of popular media and profound social issues. A pivotal moment is often cited as coming in the early 1960s, with the publication of a novel by the celebrated author Seicho Matsumoto called Nami no To, or Tower of Waves. The story's heroine, caught in a tragic love affair, ultimately chooses to end her life in the beautiful, secluded landscape of Aokigahara. The book was immensely popular, and it romanticized the forest as a poetic and peaceful place to die. It effectively put Aokigahara on the map for a new, tragic purpose. Several other publications landed in a society already grappling with significant social pressures. Combined with a culture where discussing mental health is often stigmatized, it created a perfect storm. Many people, feeling isolated and unable to seek help, saw ending their life as a way to take responsibility for perceived failures. Into this void stepped Aokigahara, now mythologized as a place of final escape. The numbers began to climb. In the year 2003 alone, a record 105 bodies were discovered. In response, local authorities have taken steps to combat the forest's reputation. They stopped publicizing the number of deaths after 2003, hoping to break the cycle of sensationalism. Signs have been erected at the entrances with messages of hope. They read, "Your life is a precious gift from your parents. Please think about your parents, siblings, and children. Don't keep it to yourself. Talk about your troubles." Patrols aimed at preventing these tragedies are now a common sight, tangible efforts to reach people in their darkest moments. This grim reality has also been exploited, most infamously in 2018, when a prominent YouTuber filmed a victim he discovered in the forest and made inappropriate comments about the situation. The global backlash was immense, and it served as a painful reminder that behind the ghost stories lies profound and real human suffering. That event highlighted a critical distinction: the difference between respectfully exploring a complex issue and callously exploiting a tragedy. So what is the haunted truth of Aokigahara? Is it a forest cursed by ancient spirits that pull people to their doom? Or simply a place glamorized by fiction? The real answer is that it's both. The haunted truth is that the folklore and the modern tragedy have become one and the same. Remember, a Yūrei is a spirit trapped by intense, unresolved emotion. Now consider the sheer weight of human suffering that Aokigahara has absorbed. Hundreds, likely thousands of people have walked into this sea of trees in a state of ultimate despair. If any place on earth could create the conditions for restless spirits, it is here. The Japanese spiritualists who believe the trees are imbued with this negative energy are describing a form of spiritual pollution. The forest is sick with human sorrow. Each person who died there reinforced the forest's reputation, adding another layer to its dark legend, making it an even more powerful magnet for the next person in despair. The folklore of the Yūrei provided a language to describe the unspeakable sadness of the place. The victims are not being lured into the forest by mythical monsters. They are being drawn in by a much more powerful force, the magnetic pull of shared despair. The idea that you won't die alone in Aokigahara is perhaps its most tragic myth. In this sense, the Yūrei are real. They are not floating figures in white kimonos, but the lingering presence of thousands of tragic stories. The forest didn't create the problem, but it has become its most visible symptom. The horror of Aokigahara isn't that it's haunted by the dead, but that it's haunted by the living and by the society that can sometimes fail them. For all its darkness, to only speak of Aokigahara in terms of death is to tell an incomplete story. Before its reputation was cemented, and even now, underneath that heavy burden, it is simply Jukai, the sea of trees. It is a place of stunning and resilient life. If you walk the designated paths, you will find a world of natural wonder. The forest is home to incredible biodiversity, including Japanese mink, wild boar, and even the elusive Asian black bear. Birdwatchers can spot dozens of species, and the forest floor is a carpet of rare mosses and ferns. In the quiet, you can find life everywhere. The geology that lends the forest its eerie quality also creates breathtaking beauty. The uneven lava floor gives rise to incredible caves, several of which are popular destinations for tourists. The Narusawa Ice Cave and Fugaku Wind Cave are natural marvels, vast lava tubes where pillars of ice persist even through the heat of summer. Exploring them feels like stepping into another world, a subterranean landscape carved by volcanic fire. And there is a growing movement to reclaim this identity. Local guides are working to promote ecotourism, leading hikes that focus on the forest's geology and vibrant ecosystem. They are fighting to change the perception of Aokigahara from a place of death to a place of life and natural heritage. This is the ultimate duality of Aokigahara. It is a place that holds Japan's deepest sorrow and its most serene, natural beauty side by side. To be respectful to Aokigahara is to see it in its entirety, to acknowledge the profound tragedy without ignoring the breathtaking beauty, and to remember that even in the darkest of places, life persists. Before we go, a quick but important word. The story of Aokigahara is ultimately a story about profound pain. And if you're listening to this and you're in your own kind of pain, feeling like there's no way out, please talk to someone. Reach out. A friend, a family member, or a professional. There is zero shame in asking for help, and there are people ready to listen 24/7. We've put links to some amazing organizations in the description. To the rest of you, thank you for watching with such an open and thoughtful mind. If you want to join us for more, consider subscribing. And let's all send a thought of peace to the many souls connected to this place.